Nintendo is finally remaking their beloved classic, Ocarina of Time. So, we looked at Final Fantasy VII and its remakes for some special insight and give our thoughts on what we hope Ocarina will look like.
Welcome to Switch Center. I'm Burge.
I'm Quinn.
And let's get right into the topic. So, speaking of games that me and Quinn have been playing lately, Final Fantasy VII.
Woo!
I am a huge Zelda fan, and I'm very excited for Ocarina of Time. Last year, I beat Ocarina of Time twice. Once, I got all the way to the final boss, and then I figured out about a less than legal hack of it that made it go up to 60 frames per second and have more modern controls, and then I stopped playing.
It was so fun.
And then I played the entire thing again.
Fantastic.
So I will be doing it one more time this winter with the Ocarina of Time remake. But the question is, how different is it going to be? And what I want to pose today is, what can it learn from a very similar remake? Final Fantasy VII.
It's an incredible game. People love the story, and we've been going back playing the original.
Yeah, it's actually from that same era. I mean, wow. Final Fantasy VII kind of was...
It was supposed to come out on an N64, but an N64 couldn't hold that many videos.
Yeah, it was kind of PlayStation's answer to Ocarina of Time, because Ocarina of Time, it told this vast story, and Final Fantasy VII tried to tell an even vaster one. Even though the gameplay is pretty different, they have a lot of similarities. Look, I love the story.
Amazing game.
I love the atmosphere. Even though
I hate the combat.
Even though it's ugly polygons,
Golly.
Look, Act
the
3,
polygons are cute. It aged well.
I think
I'll say it.
I think it aged horribly. But that being said, just putting myself in the mindset of someone who was playing it back then, I still got chills during like Act 3. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. I think its cinematics, at least the direction of them, are more effective than some AAA games that come out nowadays.
I did have my wife looking at the Switch too while I was playing.
Yeah.
And I could see her kind of going, because she's played the remake with me, and I'm like, 1996. Just
you gotta
come
understand. What I think is interesting is Ocarina of Time. We haven't seen much of it yet, but
we haven't seen any of it. Well, I guess
we've seen Link.
One.
And it seems like for the first time, he's more realistic than stylized. And it definitely reminded me, it invoked that same art style of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so I figure, are they going to try and do the same style of remake? What can they learn from the mistakes of that game, the successes of that game? For one thing, it already seems like they're doing better on the production schedule, because that game, was first announced in like 2013 or something like that.
It's been in the works forever, and like Ocarina, people have always been asking for a remake of both of these games, and I think in one way they're going to do it different. Final Fantasy VII being released in 3 parts, it's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Ocarina doesn't look like it's going to be split up.
I would be so surprised if they did.
It would be very surprising.
So, first things first, I think the world design. I think they can learn a lot about optimizing the game from Final Fantasy Remake, because Final Fantasy Remake, in my opinion, is the best looking game that's ever been on a Nintendo console.
True.
However, Rebirth is one of the uglier ones, because that is what I'm playing it on. I think just making it go to an open world made it harder to optimize. And that game even struggles to look good sometimes, especially when it released on PlayStation consoles. So,
I've been playing it on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It looks good. It runs good. I'm kind of surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised to hear that it's not running perfectly on Nintendo Switch 2, but it does make me a little sad to hear that it's not running perfectly.
It looks a lot better docked, but I played it handheld yesterday.
Oh, there's your issue.
Yeah,
goodness.
But why am I going to play it on a Nintendo Switch console if I'm not going to be playing it
That's fair.
handheld to wind down for the night as I go to bed?
Makes sense.
That's not healthy. Don't do that, guys. No screens before bed. But I think one thing people have been saying is the new style of Zelda games, they call them open air. It's like open world, but pretentious. people have been saying, are they going to make Ocarina of Time an open-air Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, like Tears of the Kingdom, and more of a departure from that original formula? I personally would be surprised if they completely change all of the environments of Ocarina of Time. The dungeons are way too iconic to completely recreate, but I can see how Hyrule Field does need to be expanded a little bit. Because kids in the 90s would walk into Hyrule Field and be like, oh my god, this is like the future of gaming. This is amazing. And then
let me wander. Let me explore this beautiful
nowadays
space.
It's about the size of the hub in Fortnite before you go to the real map, so people would be a lot less impressed. So I can see them adding some side quests, some extra things to collect, some extra places to explore in Hyrule Field, Gerudo Valley, all of those open worlds. And I think they need to find a way, though, to optimize the game, which I don't think they're going to have any trouble with, but it can't look like Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yeah.
It's got to look more like Remake on the Switch.
I think they can do it. When you think of Remake, there's lots of smaller areas. Rebirth, huge open areas. Other than Hyrule Field, I think we'll be fine. They'll optimize that one. It's iconic. They'll make it perfect. I'm not too worried about their big, wide open spaces on Ocarina, but I agree. I think they need to be confident enough to add some extra stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be lots of fans that say, what is this doing in my Ocarina game? This doesn't follow the timeline.
Yeah.
But just like Final Fantasy, you need to fill it out. There needs to be some more game there.
That being said, that is one of the biggest complaints I've seen about Rebirth. A lot of people like the main story and the main plot, but think that a lot of the side quests that were created to pad it out really slowed down the game. And the fact that in that game, it's almost required to do them to be properly leveled, people were upset by that. I think it's a hard balance to make of adding extra content so it doesn't feel like a game from the 90s, while also not overly bloating a game that's already seen as perfect by some people.
And I think one good thing about that is that Ocarina of Time is not and should not be an RPG.
Yeah.
This is going to be a game where you can find fun little things and you'll go around and you'll find some cool little bonuses that maybe weren't in the original game that'll help out some newer gamers or just give you some new situations to find maybe a new type of hook shot. I'm being so ridiculous now, just like saying random stuff, but a cool hook shot.
Big Zelda fan
takes
over
you
here.
into a different part of a dungeon that we've never seen before. Some Ura Zelda type stuff, but like,
or just more heart pieces. You know,
there you go.
I think that'd be nice.
Little collectibles. Have Korok seeds. Just add Korok seeds.
Oh God.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah. I think there's definitely ways to add some more content to the game without it feeling required for progression, and people who want to get it can do it. I trust Nintendo.
That's interesting. I think in a different way, Ocarina of Time, I'm envisioning, we have no idea, that you'll be able to play it one for one, just like it was on the N64, skipping all the other things you don't want to do. But for people who have played the game a million times now, I hope that they're going to add some fun little side content that you'll be like, whoa, I always thought about this little blank spot on the map, and now there's a cool little thing here, a cool little side quest.
Personally, I think it'd be kind of cool if they made Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time in one package, but they probably would never do that because they can sell another game.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, one other thing I want to bring up is the story. So, the story of Final Fantasy VII Remake is also one of the most controversial topics because they did not follow that story one for one. There's scenes in it that are one for one, but there's, without going into spoilers, there's some definite changes that have been made, and a lot of people are upset because they are very emotionally tied to the story of that game. It's the best thing about it is the atmosphere, the story. I think for Ocarina of Time, they probably shouldn't make big swings and big changes. I think
I hope they don't.
I honestly think for Final Fantasy VII, it worked a lot better because Final Fantasy games are so crazy. Already you're looking at the story of that game and you're like, what in the world is going on? This is happening here. This is Ocarina of Time I love the story of that game. It's a little bit more of a straightforward fantasy, though. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very attached to the characters, the world. It's a lot more.
It's a clean, iconic,
Yeah, it's a clean,
fairy
iconic,
tale story.
good versus evil. I think
You don't have to worry about
going
shadow governments or
Yeah.
anything. You're good.
If they were going to go crazy on the story for one of them, I'm glad it was Final Fantasy. That being said, one thing that we know that they're adding from the trailer is voice acting. Or at least it can be assumed that voice acting will be in parts of the game, because there was a cutscene with voice acting as the announcement. We saw some voice acting in a Zelda game in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I really hope it's not like the Final Fantasy remake voice acting.
What do you mean?
Okay.
What do you mean? It's not cheesy at all.
The voice actors in that game are extremely talented. I'm not saying anything about their talent as voice actors. The direction, on the other hand, it's a little anime for my taste.
Here's my thoughts. When you immediately brought up voice acting, my mind goes, okay, so what would I rather have? Final Fantasy's remake and all of their voice acting, or the newest Pokemon game, where there is no voice. Every Pokemon game, can I be honest? It feels like a slap in the face to the game. If it doesn't have voice acting, I just feel like they didn't put their heart and soul into it. Now, they could prove me wrong. They could do something different. But I think Nintendo's going to be able to put a very good balance between the two of them. Let's think of the cutscenes in Breath of the Wild. Were they a little cheesy? Sure. But were they good? Yeah. They were good. I'm glad that we had them. It's not going to be perfect with the video game.
It's all right.
They could step up their game, but if it's just like the voice acting in Breath of the Wild, I'm going to be happy.
I guess. I could see Breath of the Wild style voice acting and me being okay with it. Final Fantasy Remake is just so over the top. And like that's funny that you say, "Oh, it's lazy when they just have text." Pokemon games are just bad, but we can get into that in another episode. They're horribly written. There was scenes in the original Final Fantasy when I was playing that where I'm like, this has way more emotional weight reading it, because I think part of it, in my head, I'm not reading it corny. Like, I don't know why. It's why a lot of people, I feel like, when they watch anime, they turn on the subtitles and the Japanese original voice acting, because it's a lot less corny reading it than hearing it out loud. You know, friend of the show Ethan talking about watching like Demon Slayer, he's like, when I read like, okay, wave style stance in Demon Slayer, he's like, all right, that sounds good. But when it's like wave style stance, it's just like, oh my god, what the hell is on my TV right now? And I when I was playing Final Fantasy Remake, my wife walks in and she's like, and she's like, what the hell is it? I'm like, this is one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time.
It's not what it looks like.
This is not what it looks like. Ultimately, the Final Fantasy VII Remake games, they are fantastic games in my opinion, and they do treat the source material with a lot of respect, while also adding new twists to the original. That's personally my opinion. There's a lot of people who don't like them, but quality-wise, if the Ocarina of Time remake is anything like it, I'll be happy. Oh, what do you think?
Well, I was kind of nervous that you'd say if it's like that, I'd be a little sad. I agree. I think if it took that turn, sure, people are going to love it. It's going to be great. It's a beautiful story. Knowing Nintendo, they're not going to mess it up. But I would ask that they try really hard to make it something special.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something that we've never seen before, and I know that's impossible ask, but this is that game. If there was any game for them to really put it all on the line for, it's this one.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, this was a cut down version of our podcast episode covering this specific topic. If you want to hear more about our thoughts and all of our long ramblings, click on the link down below. If you enjoy the podcast format, subscribe over there. I'm sure you'll love the content.
And if you like what we're doing here, make sure to subscribe on this channel and also hit that bell.
Ding ding.
Tell your friends. Comment down below.
Tell us what would you like us to cover? We're going to put in little things, but we're going to stay locked in on the news. There's been a lot of news topics. But tell us. If there's something that you want to hear, something you want to vibe on. We'll talk about it.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.